Superman is ready for some flying action with this month's Patreon pick, and that game is Space Harrier II for your Sega Genesis, featuring Keanu Reeves as the cover model. How cool. Silly Keanu, you were supposed to dye your hair blonde for this photo shoot. Let's go ahead and take Space Harrier II. Let's pop it in my Sega Genesis, and let's see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Space Harrier II was published by Sega and was a launch title for the Sega Genesis, being released in August of 1989. It is the sequel to the popular Sega arcade game. The manual opens with the following. The year is 6236. Space is your battlefield, and destructive forces your enemy once again as Space Harrier confronts another crisis in Space Harrier II. Only this time the call for help comes from somewhere deep in the universe, the 214th sector, which is light years from your cruiser. However, you're armed with the Cosmic Gate, a special teleportation device, so you're there in moments. And what you see is disastrous. Fantasyland is unrecognizable. What's clear are enemy forces, lots of them, coming at you from everywhere, and there's only you and your laser. This is going to be a tough assignment at which to succeed, whether your rapid fire is on or off. So follow the path to victory by staying out of the line of fire and shooting straight. It's a long and ugly road, and the only ones who survive have the makings of a real hero. Your objective is to survive 12 stages of intense combat with a horde of masterful foes. Outwit their strategy, and you'll save Fantasyland from being blown to oblivion, with you going along for the ride. By pressing the A button at the startup screen, you can bring up an option menu where you can go through a sound test, select your difficulty from easy, normal, and hard, turn on or off rapid fire, and decide if up moves you up or up moves you down like in flight controls. Space Harrier II is a behind-the-back flying shooter for one player only. At the beginning of the game, you could choose which of the 12 levels you want to start on, but no matter which level you start on, you will still need to complete all 12 levels before you go to the final 13th level. For the controls, you use any of the 3 buttons to fire and the D-pad to fly around and run on the ground, but you have to be careful when running that you don't trip on something causing you to stumble. You lose a life if you get hit or if you fly or run into an object. At the end of each level is a boss. If you make it to the final level, you will have to face all 12 bosses again before meeting the final boss, Dark Harrier. Every 4 levels you will go to a bonus round where you try to destroy as many objects as possible for bonus points. Every 1,000,000 points you get an extra guy, which is a good thing since you cannot continue in the game. Graphically speaking, although the animation can be a little choppy, after a while the choppiness faded away for me, and overall I like the 3D look of the game as well as many of the enemies and bosses. In particular, I really like the running animation of the tiger boss. Sound and music wise, this game is extremely impressive for an early Genesis release, with some great sound effects, a really great soundtrack, not to mention good versions of the Get Ready and Screaming voice clips. Family friendly wise, when it was re-released for the Wii Virtual Console, it got an E for everyone rating. At the time I researched on eBay including shipping, loose copies were going for $8 to $10, complete were going for $20 to $30, and one new copy sold for $55. So what did I think of Space Harrier II? For a launch title, this game is great and a blast to play. Outside the slightly choppy animation, both the visuals and the sounds are top notch for an early release, and it controls really well too. I'm really glad they added a rapid fire option. Now it might seem hard to start with, as it can be easy to lose lives in bunches, especially when you find yourself flying smack into one column after another. But after a while the game got easier for me, to the point that I was able to go through all 12 levels to the final boss of the 12th level on my own. But even when I wasn't doing that well, I still had a smile on my face and was eager to play it again. So where am I going to rank Space Harrier II? This one is going in my top 5. I do like Aladdin more at 4, but I will put this over the enjoyable Ghostbusters at 5. So out of the 31 games I've now ranked, Space Harrier II is getting ready at the 5 position. Space Harrier II is one of the early Sega Genesis titles that is still very fun to play today and highly recommended for Space Harrier fans. At least that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, please click like and subscribe, follow me both on the Facebook and the Twitter, and check out some of my many other videos covering retro-related video games, toys, mini arcades, plug and plays, and more. At this time, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters who voted on which game I should review today, including Joe, Richard, Michael, Matthew, William, Steve, Caleb, Rick, David, and Bryce. Thank you all for your votes and your support. You too can help support the show, gain access to exclusive content, and be able to vote on future games I review by signing up at patreon.com/NoSwearGamer. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and get ready.
Get ready.